Hi everybody, welcome. I am Kim Beigler, the owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill, and I'm back in Halsey. I'm sitting in the mill. I told you all, I do come to the mill sometimes. So here I am. If you are new, I will talk a lot about wool, yarn, and all the things. And if you're coming back, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here. And let's jump right in. Just a reminder, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button if you want to be notified that a new episode is out. And there's chapters. So if you don't feel like listening to something I'm saying, I mean, you could watch something else, or you could just hit to the next part of the video in the chapters. So easy enough. This episode, I will be talking about the knit along that we're starting this Saturday, January 13th. If you have never done a knit along, neither have I, so join along. Some mill updates. I've got some videos from inside the wool mill, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Gulf Coast native sheep. How fun is that? Because I have a fleece of theirs here that I just washed up. So yeah, that's what's going to be in this episode. So we'll jump right in. If you love what I'm doing and you want to be in the community more, I do have a Patreon for $5 a month. This is important, right? For $5 a month, you get notified early of products as they're coming out of the mill. So my Patreon people generally get first jump at products that are coming out, and then it goes up a little bit. $10 a month. We have a monthly Zoom. You also get the notifications. You get the point. Jump over there. There's a link in the show notes. Okay. First off, I'm going to say a big thank you. And yes, Wish is on my lap. Okay. First off, let me just push back since Wish is in my lap. My Fosette is on. Off the needles, on me. See if she'll let me stand up. You can see the bottom. She's still in my lap, you all. So there it is. It fits perfectly. I blocked the heck out of it, and I'm so happy with it. I'll come back forward now. Wish. Oh, the things I do. My life is animals right now. My life is always animals, but holy cow right now. I love everything. You know, I did an extra, I think I said in an episode, but I did like several inches more, like maybe 5 inches more in the length of my sweater. And I'm really happy I did. When Wish gets off my lap, I'll stand up and show you. I am a little bit taller. I mean, I'm 5'8", I'm not anything crazy, but it's a very cropped top otherwise, which I would constantly be trying to pull down. So I'm glad I added the extra length. Otherwise, I think it just, and even these little, you can see the little pops right here. Anyway, I'm really happy with it. I'm just wearing a little long sleeve under it because it's a little bit chilly. But Fosette, link is in the show notes. I've talked about it endlessly. So, and we're moving on to new sweaters, right? But this is the first day I've worn it. So aces. I wanted to send out a big thank you to Linda and Cammie. I didn't get to show this yet because I was at home and just distracted, but they gifted me fiber, which is lovely because oddly enough, I don't get a lot of fiber. I don't know if that's odd. People probably assume I have a lot, and I do. But my stash of fiber my personal stash of fiber isn't anything insane. Anyway, Linda and Cammie, thank you. This is some beautiful Navajo Churro, and I'm going to tell you all where it's from. It is from Flying Heart Ranch. I will put a link in the show notes, out of New Mexico, which is a great place to buy Navajo Churro. So I'm hoping you can see. Not sure if you can see, but there are little guard hairs in there. This is actually a pretty soft. The undercoat feels pretty soft in this, but there's Navajo Churro, a heritage sheep. They have a lot of fiber. They got me this natural color and then another little bump of natural color here. So I am so excited. Thank you so much to both of you. And if anybody wants to check out some Navajo Churro roving, or maybe they have wool for sale, if you just want the wool, I will put a link to Flying Hearts Ranch in the show notes. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but it is going to be fun to spin. So thank you. Thank you, you too. Okay, let's talk about what's happening in the mill. I'm losing stuff along the way. What's happening in the mill? I am working on January Fiber Club. It is just about to hit the carter. So Fiber Clubbers, it's going to be hitting the mail any moment here. I'm not going to show it in this one. I'll show it next week. It's lovely. How about that? It's lovely. I did a little run of, and I have a video, of course it's gone. So if you don't go and join Patreon, pop onto my website. There's a pop-up when you get on, or on the homepage at the bottom, you can join the newsletter. My newsletter people get basically the second chance at, so usually my Patreon people get what they want. My newsletter, a lot of times if they act quick, they'll get fiber too. So jump on and join my newsletter list. But Patreon is really fun. We had I talked about it, but it was a really fun last meetup that we had. Okay, I ran a little bit of the magenta. I had a bit of magenta from the bats from the holiday fiber club, December fiber club. And so I just ran those together, and I have a video of that because it turned out so pretty. The fiber went pretty quick between Patreon and the newsletter, but and I was gonna say there's one bat left, but Rebecca grabbed it up today. So I'm glad that all of that fiber found its way. I wish I could make endless amounts, but I just can't. So that's a one and doneer, and I hope everybody that got it loved it. I do have some video of some Coopworth lamb. I think I mentioned last time that I was dyeing it up because it was something I could actually function and do at home. And I blended it with some silk. I dyed it, blended it with some silk, and it is going onto the carder today. I'll probably have a little clip of it going on the carder. Get on my Patreon or get on my newsletter if you want some of this, because there is a decent amount. I think that was about a 3-pound lamb fleece, but it's Coopworth. It's lovely. It's soft to the touch. It's lamb. So it's going to be kind of the best fiber that comes off of that sheep. Maria, who I got it from, she picked it out and was like, I think you'll like this one. So that's always fun when she does that. It's not super long. Coopworth is a longer staple, but this is probably maybe 3 inches at most. Not a super long staple. The luster or the shine of Coopworth is something that that breed is known for. And it really was popping, especially once it was dyed. And I played with the magenta from Fiber Club last month. This color that I did the Coopworth in is a play on that. Basically, I took all 3 of the colors, the yellow and the 2 kind of pinky magenta colors I was using, and played with them. And it's really lovely. I'm calling it a frothy Merlot. I don't think Merlots are supposed to be frothy, but if you added a little beer froth to the Merlot wine and turned it into fiber, this is what you would get in my world. So look for it. Get on the newsletter if you love it. I spun up a tiny sample and it's really lovely. So I have a video of that I will show you in a little bit. And I have some Gulf Coast native. I just have a video of me washing it because it hasn't made its way onto the carder. When I'm carding, I go through, like, white is where you start. And then after you run the white you want to run, you start to get light grays, dark gray, ideally. In the ideal world, this is how I run things out. So right now I am in this dark dyed phase. So what's going to happen next is I will clean the carder down and then I'll start back at whites. But there's no sense in cleaning the carder down when I have this Coopworth to run. So I'm going to run the Coopworth, then it's clean the carder time, then I can start fresh at natural whites and lights. So that's kind of how it runs, because it takes a while to clean the carder out and I don't want the magenta getting into the white. There's always going to be a little bit of overlap, just little hairs are going to pop up here and there, fibers, but I do my best to keep things separate as I can. So Gulf Coast native, I wanted to talk about this for a minute because it is, and I'm going to grab a staple here in a minute if I can get Wish off my lap. But I got this from I think the only place in Oregon that has got Gulf Coast native sheep, Roy Bob Farm, little farm on the other side of the mountain from us. She started, I think, in 2020 with Gulf Coast natives. They are on the critically endangered list of breeds as far as the American Livestock Breed Conservancy is concerned. And they're a very interesting breed. They actually were brought over to this part of the world in like the 1500s. Spanish, what's the word I'm looking for? Spanish explorers, thank you. Spanish explorers brought them over and they made their way up into this continent that way. They came from Mexico, they brought them into Mexico, they brought them over onto the islands, and that was a way for them to eat, right? So when they came back, went back and forth, there would be meat for them. Then the sheep slowly made their way into Mexico and up into the lower part of the states. So Gulf Coast native, guess where they tend to be? A lot of Florida, some of those southeastern states that are not really known for having tons of sheep, right? That's kind of where they were. And because it's hot and it's muggy and it's humid and all the things, the sheep had to adapt to survive. So they are I would say they're a heritage sheep. They're considered a heritage sheep. And those heritage sheep, man, they know how to survive. That's why they're heritage, right? They are not like overdeveloped. They're not, I shouldn't say overdeveloped. That makes it sound wrong. They're not improved upon. How's that? So one of the things that people love about Gulf Coast native, besides their wool, which you'll see in a minute after I get wish up, is that they, as far as a shepherd goes, they are very resistant to worms, parasites, that is. They are very resistant to foot rot. Both wonderful, wonderful things to have in a sheep breed. It makes them very low maintenance, which they had to be forever because people were not babying these sheep. They just brought them. They had to survive. This is how the sheep survives. It's the same. My Shetlands they have a high tolerance for foot rot. They have a high tolerance for parasites. A lot of these heritage breeds are great at lambing by themselves. They are fairly prolific lambers and they will just do it. They just do the thing without needing a lot of extra assistance. So heritage, I mean, that is how they survive, right? So these sheep were basically feral till they came into the US. People started breeding them a little bit more because they were so hardy. And then, as does, sheep improvements come along, and so they have fallen off the radar. But as you will see, they have a beautiful fleece. Well, I'm gonna have to wake her up. I'll be right back. I just want you all to see that she's being carried. Oh, and while I was up, I was gonna show you, here's the length of my Fosette. So it's just, and that was with several extra inches. So if you knit it, just, be mindful of where you want this sweater to fall, where it's gonna work for you. If you're used to wearing crop, go for it. It's just not my thing. Even wearing high-waisted stuff, I like stuff. Okay, here's our Gulf Coast native. This is not washed. You can see the tips are nice and dirty there. It actually has a pretty nice luster to it. This does. And it's very loose. It's a very loose, this sucker washed up. It was so low. It's something they are known for, as being low in grease and lanolin. One wash, bam, this sucker was done. Washed up really beautiful, really white. And it's a very loose, you'll see in the video as I wash it. I thought I would compare. Let's do some comparisons. Here is some merino. So this is like my happy place in staple length for those of us hand spinners. Look at how dense the merino is. Look at how loose this is. And you can see this has a wave to it. It has a beautiful wavy crimp. This has like that super, super tight merino crimp that we all know and love. Let's bring in one more. We got to bring in some Shetland because I've got it here. We'll bring in a dark Shetland too, just to add Shetland. Here we go. Merino, and you can see how flat the merino is on top, and it's just big chunks. Then you look at this, much more segmented locks there with a little bit of a point. And then you've got the Shetland, double coated craziness, right? The Gulf Coast native is a single coated breed, which a lot of the heritage breeds tend to be double coated, but this is a single coated. They do have to be shorn. Most sheep do, but this heritage breed did. That was one of the things they did. They came back, they ate them, they shore them, they did that. So it's a really, really lovely, the microns, from what I can tell, and most of this information I got from the Gulf Coast Native Breeders Association. I will put a link in the show notes because sheep have fascinating histories, as does textiles and all these things. Lots of breeders in the Southeast. So if you're interested in finding fleeces, you might be able to track some down there. Microns, 20s to 30s. So kind of your average, can be next to skin for sure. When you get into the low 30s is where it tops out at probably not next to skin anymore. If you are more sensitive, you're going to want to be down in the low 20s. Anyway, there it is. There it is. There's a little bit about Gulf Coast Native. Go check them out a little bit. And I'll show you the video of me scouring that. Okay, that's what I wanted to talk about there. So works in progress. I really don't have anything to show you currently that I'm working on. I've just been doing a little spinning in between waiting for the Calliope knit along that we're starting on Saturday. The shop is open from 11 to 1 for anybody in the area who wants to come shop for yarns, wind up balls, swatch, cast on. Cast on party is coming. And I haven't really been starting anything because I wanted to cast on. Actually, I need to swatch. So I wanted to show you some of the yarns. So if you're in the area, 11 to 1, come by. The following weekend is normal mill hours. So if you're on the newsletter list, it'll tell you all of this. If you are doing it online with us, I think what I'm going to do, I don't know if we'll go live or not on YouTube, but Tammy's going to be here for sure. And I think 1 or 2 other people, I'm going to try to convince them to come into the recording also, so we can talk about where everybody's at. I would like for people to be able to reach out and say, I'm having an issue. So you can feel free to do that on YouTube or on Ravelry. Link to the Ravelry thread will be in the show notes. But I want people to feel like you can get help. I want us to kind of talk about strategies. Ideally, let's say goal is to have this sweater done mid-March, which to me blows my mind. I don't know. But I thought, let's talk about strategies on there. Like, how far do you need to be every 2 weeks, let's say? That may not be your jam. You don't have to finish on time. You don't have to cast on time. It's just to have fun. So real quick, I want to show you some of the new yarns that are in. I haven't even had a chance to show you the Sincere Sheep. Some of it's already sold out, but okay. Here is the Urchin. This is 100% Cormo. Fingering weight yarn. So if you're going to do the Calliope, you would hold this with a mohair silk. This is the coloring. These are naturally dyed US wool, spun in the US, naturally dyed down in California by Brooke of Sincere Sheep. So there's 2 colors. We have got here the Anja. I'm going to say Anja. It's a little bit deeper blue than is showing up there, but not too much actually. That's pretty good. And then we have the Suerte. And this has got, I don't know, check out the pictures on the website. This has got some more variation to it and a little bit, it's just a little bit more variegated and a little bit deeper than that Anja was. We have got St. Bart's. Now there's a blue. And we have got the Vivid. Ooh, that's a lovely green. And there's one more here. This is the Vitamin C, which is what I'm debating doing my Calliope in. Now, so those are fingering weight, which you would hold with a mohair. Lots of us have mohair in our stash, but I have some in the shop too. This is from Ewetopia. This is the Twilight. Can you even with that? Oh my gosh. And look, I mean, it would look great with just about any of these, but this is the Urchin. It would also look fun with this. I mean, really anything would look fun, right? But it would also look fun with this coloring. You could throw it with a blue. There is, I don't know if there's a blue, but it's mostly purples. But okay, that's one color of the mohair. Then we have this, which is the Monet's Lilies. So it's lots of different blues happening. See, I miss my light at home now. Monet's Lilies, which of course, you know, would pair with any of the blues. It's going to pair really well with St. Bart's. It's going to add a nice different. There is, I mean, you could even do it with the green. Okay. And then we have got I was in love with this, the Rhubarb. I mean, stop it there. This would look fun with, oh my gosh. That's the coloring. So there are some options. And then we have got 2 more colors here. Here's just like an all-purpose, right? This is the, silver. I was like, am I reading that right? It's so easy. Silver. And then we also have got a pop of barley. So, I mean, the silver can really play off of anything. The barley I wanted to get because, I mean, it can play differently off of things too. It's just fun. So there are some things. The other yarn that I have got in stock, whether you're looking online or if you're coming into the mill, is you could also go a DK weight. And the Ewetopia yarn I carry would be beautiful for that. I do have 2 new colors, and of that, One of them is the Blue Skies. You wouldn't need to hold, this would just be just this, no mohair needed. And this is the natural colored oatmeal. So those will get added. This all will get added to the online shop. If you love any of it, it's all next to skin soft. In case you're wondering, I would say even for sensitive people, all of these are gonna be next to skin. So Calliope, let's get and I would love to have people, you all out there, if anybody wants to jump in, what I'm gonna do along maybe every week or 2 weeks is like, let's get on Zoom with 1 or 2 other people, and Tammy and or Elisa, one of the 2 of them or both of them, and like we could talk through, you know, just where we're at, if we're having any issues, and help each other. That's what community is all about. Okay, hey you all, so super last minute, I'm interjecting this video of the fact that we are getting inclement weather for the cast-on party here at the mill. So our backup plan, if the mill shop cannot open, is that Tammy and I will be on Instagram Live coming from my Ewethful feed around 11 a.m. Pacific time. So if you're on Instagram, jump on there, and then, you know, up at the top in the stories, you can click through when we go live and you can comment back and forth with us. So that'll be super fun. If somebody out there really wants to jump on with me and talk about their cast on, just message me in advance, because I can let a few people join, kind of pop in and out. So, and then if you have questions about your sweater, your cast on, or your yarn or anything, you can comment while we're live and we'll try to answer them then. And I think we're going to do another video in a couple days after this where we will see where everybody's at and see if everybody's cast on. Some of us haven't even swatched yet. So anyway, so if the mill shop is not open, stay tuned. We will be live on Instagram at 11 a.m. on Saturday the 13th. Okay, I think we're gonna cut to the videos, and then I will come back to say a quick goodbye before I forget. If anybody in the Eugene, around me area is looking for kittens, a friend of mine has 2 kittens. They are living outside with Mama right now. They are at the prime age to be moved inside and not become feral cats. So if anybody is looking, please message me and I'll put pictures here so that you can see them. They are gorgeous. Okay, I will be back in a minute. Let's go check out some mill videos. Okay, we are at the washer, and I wanted to show you all, this is not something I get very often, but let me show you up close and personal. This is Gulf Coast native, and I got this from an Oregon farm. We don't have a lot of this here. You can see that lovely, it's very, I would say it's very springy is sort of how it's light and springy compared to, and it feels, show you another little batch here. It feels pretty soft at this moment, but I'm not going to say like next to skin soft is what it's going to end up, but things often feel softer. Wools, I should be specific. Wool often feels softer when it has lanolin on it, and then when you wash it up, it kind of, let me show you because it's so pretty. So pretty. There's a nice staple out of it. So anyway, this is, I only have 1 fleece of this, but I thought I would show you guys as I prep it, and I've kind of opened it up like I generally do. I like to kind of feel in and make sure I've got kind of roughly an even amount in this tub in between the 3. And I'll talk more about the Gulf Coast native, but I just wanted to show you as I was getting this into the washing machine. And now I'm just gonna shut this up and let's see, move you off. I just cleaned out, I'll show you what I cleaned out. Actually, it's very disgusting. And one time I should show you what it looks like when it's not cleaned out. But these inside this little cabinet here is the float. So this determines when the washer will stop filling. And you can imagine, because this is filling up with wash water, these get coated in mud and sludge and all the gunk that comes out of fleeces. So if I do especially muddy fleeces, oh my gosh, I just cleaned it and it's it's a special thing. So I am going to, now all I do, I've already run my hot water, so I know it's hot water in there. I give my soap a good stir just because I dilute it down with water, and I like to make sure I'm at the right place. And then I just hit the go button. And once it fills with water, so you can hear it's filling with soap and water currently, it'll beep, which is what I have this button up for. So it'll beep when it's full of water, and I'll come back and stir it. All right, we're back. And that's it telling me that we can do a little flip. You can see pretty well in there. If I bring you down too much, you're gonna get, but I just give everything, I kind of just do a gentle flip. Make sure it's all pushed under the water, because depending on the wool type, or the alpaca especially, it can kind of rise to the top. So I'm just giving it a little quick turn, and I don't do anything super aggressive because it's in hot water, right? We don't want it to felt, but I just want to make sure the wool is underneath. And I'll go through once during the wash cycle and just do this gentle flip again, just to kind of allow the soap and water to make sure it's getting through the whole fleece. And then we'll just let this cook and clean. Okay. Okay, so our Gulf Coast native is all dry. I'm coming. Here it is. Washed up really beautifully. So all I do is spread this out. I talked about recently, I don't go too crazy with it, because if any felting is gonna happen when it's, more likely to happen when it's damp. So I just kind of open it up so that air can get through it. And my dryer, it's not really it's a drying rack for sure, but I just have a fan up top. So when I slide this in, then I turn the fan on, and it just helps circulate air through. There's no heat or anything. I'm just gonna try to get this opened up. And then I'll turn on the fan. And I've got one more batch that I'm gonna, not of that was the East Coast, or the Gulf Coast. This is just some other wool that I'm gonna throw in to rinse out and get drying. Okay, well, so we are at the picker, and I am blending up. I'll show you a little bit. So here is some silk, and here is some dyed Coopworth lamb, and I'm getting ready to pick this up, blended together. I'm just kind of adding, I thought I was going to do 10% silk, but it just seemed like too much. Here's a little bit of it. See if you can see it all right. Yeah. Blended up that this is like stuff that gets caught up in the machine. So I have my silk all broken up here, and I'll show you so you see what I mean. So most time when you buy silk, it comes in a top form. Not most time, but when you buy it in top form, which is how it is sold a lot. So what I do when I'm blending is I'm just pulling out bits of it. So you can see I hold the tip and then I just pull. Not doing it perfect, but then you get shorter bits of the silk, and that is what I am blending up in the picker. So I'm not just taking a whole chunk of, trying to make the job easier for the machines, basically. So I break the silk up a little bit. Again, I lay it on the bottom of my picker underneath the wool, because it's just less likely to get caught up in these two front rollers. And because this is Coopworth, and if you've ever worked with Coopworth, it's great for felting because it loves to felt. And so in dyeing it, I had to be really careful. And there are some spots where it's a little bit tighter. And I'll show you. Let me see if I can grab one. So let me show you this. So this spot of dyed fiber is a little bit tighter. And if it starts to catch on itself, what I'll do is pull the opposite way, right? So if it's knotting up one way, then don't keep pulling it because anything that's knotted is gonna get tighter. But I'll just go the opposite way so that I can loosen stuff up as needed. Some of it needs it, some of it doesn't. So if it was kind of knotting itself up this way, then I would start to pull it apart the other way to get it from not continuing to knot up. I mean, it's the same as when you get a knot in your hair, right? If you keep tagging or tugging at it without giving some sort of separation to it, it's just gonna keep getting a tighter knot. So let's avoid that. So I'm doing a little bit extra because I know there are spots in this where the Coopworth got a little tight and dyeing. And that can happen just even in the washing machine with Coopworth, Gotland, BFL. Those are all the breeds I tend to have the most issues. Those are kind of, not all, those are some of the breeds that I tend to have the most issues with felting, more so than say a merino or another fine wool. And so if you're looking to felt, some of these are great for that. So I am just loading up a bit. I'm just kind of loading whatever I feel like it on the silk. It's all gonna blend up anyway. And then I'm kind of putting a light layer of silk on the bottom of the intake table here. And then opening up the Coopworth a little bit, just helping it a little bit. The machine will do the rest. That's why we're here at the picker. And then you just lay the Coopworth on top and let it run through the machine and it will do its magic. And I'll show you here in just a minute. Most of this did pretty good. I was really trying to be careful to not even, like the second I saw a bubble in my dye pot with this Coopworth, I turned it off. So, because that will definitely, those bubbles, when you're simmering, add agitation to your water, which will hasten felting. There are a lot of breeds that do not felt easily. Horn Dorset is one of them. So if you wanted to try out some dyeing, but you were afraid, not gonna say it won't felt, but it is a harder fiber to felt. So a Horn Dorset would be a great, start playing with dyeing in, dyeing wool in the raw with that. Okay, not raw, I suppose, washed. You don't wanna dye raw because the dye isn't going to adhere to that lanolin. Can't get through the lanolin to get to the fiber. So I'm just going to keep doing this and then I will let you all see what it looks like after it's picked out. It is really pretty. So, and there's a decent amount of this. This fleece was about 3 pounds. So, okay. I'm going to cut to and let you see the end product. And then on to the carder we go. All right, here it is going in, the last of it. And we'll come around the other side and it's just popping out. Oop, my finger. And as soon as it's done, I'll turn it off and let you take a peek inside, but it is gonna be a lovely fiber to spin, I'll tell you that. And I decided to do the silk because I just really wanted to add a little extra luster to this already gorgeous luster that was on the Coopworth. I thought, let's enhance it. All right, let's open this up now that the machine is off and show you. Oop, stuff is flying, but there it is in all of its glory. Go in a little bit here. So, nice and picked out, nice and open for the carder, and the carder should make quick work of this beauty. So we'll go there next. All right, here we are at the carder, ready to card on this Coopworth and silk. Ooh la la. I spun a little bit of it last night, you all, and I just had the tiniest, I have a very hard time leaving if the carder's empty and I have a fiber that's ready to go. So let me turn, I don't think I turned the carder on yet. So let's turn the carder on and, oh, I did. Look at me go. Okay, so here we go. And I have a really hard time not starting up fiber. And I just got to run this last little bit down here. This is really nice and poofy, which is lovely. I didn't have to condition this because it's so nice and humid in the building, because we're in the Pacific Northwest and all we get right now is rain on rain on rain. Like, this is old school Oregon, I say. I long ago was a dog walker. Then I owned a dog hotel, and man, that was before rain gear was really good, and whew, it was rough. It was rough every winter trying to stay dry. Okay, there it is. Going on. Let's go ahead and we'll walk this way so you can get a good idea of it. Not showing the colors pretty well. So I played with the same colors as were in those bats. Let's go around to the other side here. See her at work. And let's see the color. This is where I get my frothy Merlot from, because that silk is showing up. Hopefully I can get this to... It's showing up really well, but also there is that Merlot in there. So it just has like the slightest bit of extra, well, it has the extra shine from the silk and just a little bit of that kind of naturally goldy color from the silk. So there it is, and it is really dreamy to spin. The Coopworth is nice and slippery, and then the silk, of course, adds more slickery? Adds more slippiness to it. So, okay, I better get back to the other side. See you all in a minute. Okay, fun in there in the mill videos. I'm doing a lot of fun things. I'm excited to share Fiber Club with you next week. I know I'm like a repeating record, but Patreon or newsletter, if you like any of the products that I'm putting out, I'm trying to crank stuff out as best I can, but life sometimes just gets in the way of me working, even though I love to be here. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, get on the newsletter list about Calliope. Keep in touch here on YouTube if you're doing the knit along, or jump into the Ravelry thread. There's a lot of talk happening. I haven't checked it in like 2 days, so I got to pop on there and see what's going on. Let's get knitting a sweater. Yay, so fun. All right, thank you all so much for watching. I hope your year has started out well, and in the meantime, make so many pretty things, be kind to your neighbors, and everybody stay healthy. All right, I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching.